Unknown to Chuka, he had made the curse at the 7th minute of the 7th day of the 7th month of the year, a significant thing for his lineage. This significant moment was known for the answering of prayers or curses by their revered family deity. The curse. In the heart of Lagos, in one of the city's least appealing neighborhoods, lived a young man named Chuka, amidst chaos, clamor, and poverty. Chuka was notorious in his neighborhood for his sour disposition and harsh words that often spilled out of his lips, provoked or not. His heart was a boiling pot of envy and resentment, always simmering with a desire to see others as miserable as he was. Every success of his neighbors, every smile on a stranger's face only fueled his bitterness. He often found a twisted sense of satisfaction in causing their good fortune silently to himself and imagining that his cause was materializing in their lives. Chuka's abode was an uncompleted building in his neighborhood, all he could afford as he was jobless and only able to eke out income from random jobs here and there. Jobs that provided income that barely covered his feeding and basic needs. The air in his building was constantly heavy with the stench of human waste, and the walls were old, crumbling, and covered in mold, with a leaking roof overhead. The neighborhood was noisy and chaotic, with children playing in the dirt and vendors shouting to sell their wares. It was a place where dreams seemed to wither and die, and it was a place where Chuka's bitter nature thrived to full bloom. A man who had lost all hope in himself and wished similar hopelessness on others. This vitriolic personality of his was not a recent development. Chuka had a long history of wishing ill on others. When his childhood friend Emeka got a scholarship to study abroad, Chuka had muttered under his breath, "I hope his plane crashes." When his neighbor Amina opened a successful shop, he had thought to himself, "I hope her business burns down." Even online, he would leave hateful comments on social media posts, hoping to bring others down to his level of misery. One day, he was scrolling through his phone when he came across a post about a popular celebrity, Tobe, who had just won a prestigious award. Tobe's life was the epitome of opulence. He lived in a luxurious mansion in the upscale part of Lagos with marble floors, crystal chandeliers, and a fleet of expensive cars parked in his driveway. His home was surrounded by lush gardens and high walls, a stark contrast to the slums where Chuka resided. Also, Tobe was loved by many for his talent and kindness, and also for his charisma and stunning good looks. All of these burned Chuka with jealousy. His envy was so intense that it felt like a physical pain in his chest. Anytime he came across Tobe's pictures, video, or whatever content on social media, his envious heart always prompted him to leave a terrible and acidic comment. In the most recent happening, when he came across the post of Tobe winning this prestigious award, Chuka, again fueled by his deep-rooted anger towards anything going good in others' lives, muttered under his breath, "I hope he loses the thing most important to him." As he said this, he pointed a finger at Tobe's picture on his phone. not realizing that the remaining four fingers were pointing back at himself. Unknown to Chuka, he had made the curse at the 7th minute of the 7th day of the 7th month of the year, a significant thing for his lineage. This significant moment was known for the answering of prayers or curses by their revered family deity. But this fact was lost to Chuka himself, as the knowledge was not passed down and had been lost for some generations. That night, Chuka went to bed feeling a strange sense of satisfaction, a dark joy that warmed his bitter heart. He dreamt of today's downfall, imagining the celebrity's life crumbling to pieces. Little did he know that this wish would actually come to fruition. The next morning, Chuka woke up to exciting news. It was surprising news, but then pleasantly surprising for him. Overnight, a scandal had erupted around Tobe the celebrity. Someone from his past had opened a cankerworm of secrets. A woman came up to accuse him of impregnating her many years back and abandoning her and a kid. This scandal really shook Tobe's life in such a short time. In hours, he lost his award, his reputation was torn down, and the public had denounced and turned their back on him. In a quick succession of events, that was how Tobe lost the thing that was most important to him, his fame. When Chuka heard the news, he was of course elated. He felt an intense joy and a sense of power. For a minute, he was shocked that his curse actually worked. But yes, it did work, because that was specifically what he had said, for Tobe to lose that which was most important to him. For a moment, he felt like he could own the world, that his curses could shape reality. People don't enter wahala for my hand, be that o. I go just dey curse them left, right and center. Make all of us dey suffer together. The words had barely left Chuka's lips when suddenly he felt his vision going dim. He was alarmed. Tried to rush out to rinse his face or something, but he could not even make his way out of the room. His phone dropped out of his hand and fell to the ground. He became alarmed and shouted, tried to make his way out of the room anyway, but at that moment his legs bucked under him and he collapsed to the ground. His neighbors came in, hearing these repeated shouts. They helped him to his feet and outside, but nobody could understand what was happening to Chuka. They tried and tried, rinsing his face with various things, water, concoctions, herbs, but Chuka's eyes would not work. His legs as well refused to walk. No one in the building, least of all Chuka himself, could afford to take him to the hospital. So they took him to an alternative medicine practitioner. But no matter what was done, nothing worked. Chuka had indeed lost his eyes and legs. His already miserable life thereby became worse than miserable. He was reduced to subhuman condition, unable to help himself. In the end, Chuka found himself living as a handicapped beggar, wallowing in his own dehumanized state. Chuka could not understand why all of that happened to him suddenly. To lose a pair of eyes and a pair of legs with nothing causing it, no accident, it's strange. But then the more he thought about it, the more he started to wonder if it had anything to do with his curse on Tobe. The way the curse had come to fruition was so magical. But then it seemed to have also bounced back on he himself. taking out the things that were most important to him, his eyes and legs. He did not have much to his name or his person that could come off as important, except his physical body parts. Could it be that as Tobe was impacted by his curse, losing that which was most important to him in form of his career and fame, he himself had lost 4 things that were most important to him, his eyes and his legs? How did Chuka get so broke in the first place? Well, he came from very humble beginnings, so he felt the world and fortune were stacked up against him. He felt somehow the gods had given him a wrong destiny, and from a very young age this had made him bitter. He had the defeatist attitude, always thinking that things were stacked up against him, always blaming everyone else for his bad fortune, his parents for not giving him a good early life, the government for being so bad, his neighbors for not assisting him, his relatives for not caring about him. This made Chuka a very, very bitter and angry man, because he already felt anything could never go in his favor, so his life continued to decline. In the end, Chuka found himself living as a handicapped beggar, wallowing in his own dehumanized state. He roamed in the same slummy street he had always known, not by walking, but by dragging himself through the dirt and muck. He begged for alms here and there to be able to survive, to be able to get food to eat, and tattered clothes to cover his nakedness. The energy Chuka had put out into the world had come back to him, leaving him in a state far worse than he had ever imagined. His life became a cautionary tale, a reminder to us all of the destructive power of bitterness and envy. Careful of what you wish others, it might come back to you in multiple fold.